Okay, so this article from TV Line dropped not too long ago. You'll have to excuse my voice. I've been recovering from the flu lately, and I am still a little bit under the weather, but we're just going to go over it real quick. So this dropped literally this past week on January 25th, and it's talking about George Lucas's canceled Star Wars series. They could have completely changed the franchise right before he ended up selling it to Disney. We're just going to go over it in this video real quick. This came across my desk, so to speak. I was watching WDW Pro, one of my favorite channels, and they brought it to my attention, so I'm going to go over it and give my 2 cents here. So it looks like what's going on is that there's some exposure coming to light about how right before or right during the time when George was considering selling Star Wars to Disney, he'd actually had, according to Rick McCullum, a producer on the Star Wars remastered edition, the gold box collector set that was in theaters in the 90s when I was a kid, and also in a couple of other films, that apparently he had like all 3 seasons like completely written out, and they were, in his own words, dark and sexy. So apparently George had these completely fleshed out seasons of the TV show that he had it all done, like in typical George Lucas fashion. He had a story and he completely wrote it out and went through several drafts of it, and then apparently he was just going to take it and be like, yo, here it is. And later on in the article they get to that, but like let's get to the nitty-gritty of like what this actually is about, right? So according to McCullum, this would have blown up the Star Wars universe, and Disney would have definitely never offered George to buy the franchise if they had ever seen the light of day. So I don't know what that means. That can mean that like it would have been like, you know, radioactive to Disney. They're a family brand these days, and this may have been, you know, just too hardcore. Man, I wish. Jeez, I wish. Which, I guess the closest thing we ever got to this was Andor. You know, Andor was good. I didn't really have too much negative, really anything negative to say about it. They really borrowed a lot of concepts from the expanded universe. They kind of pulled from the young Han Solo books, and they also pulled from like the Dark Force video game series and Kyle Katarn's storyline just a little bit. And I liked where they took the movie. I thought it was really well done. Gareth Edwards did a really good job with directing it. I thought the pacing, the flow was really good. I thought the characters were fleshed out really well. I thought the action was really awesome. But anyway, let's continue talking about this article here. So the show would have served as a bridge between the fall of the Republic in Revenge of the Sith and the rise of the Rebellion in A New Hope. So it's kind of shares that like middle of the ground territory there. McCullum noted that they brought in what he called the most wonderful writers in the world, including writers from Lost. Jeez, I don't know who that is, but having watched Lost, it was a big nothing burger. Doctor Who, I was actually introduced to it by my wife. Absolutely love Doctor Who. David Tennant and gosh, who's the Doctor who came out? Matt Smith. I'm so sick, guys. Can you tell? Definitely my favorite Doctors. And the Battlestar Galactica reboot that they had. Oh man, that was such a good show. If you guys remember that, geez, that was a lot of fun. I liked that one. And that one had Katie Sackhoff in it as well as Starbuck. I thought that was, yeah, really fun show. I liked that. So with those writers, I mean, that kind of would have been kind of a power team, really. Man, just like, oh, what we could have had.
Okay, fine, I'm cool, I'm fine.
The series would have explored the criminal underworld of Coruscant, the political hub of the Empire that rules the galaxy. A short piece of test footage was released that showed stormtroopers and Coruscant citizens moving through bustling streets as a hidden Jedi slipped past undetected. So that's cool. We probably would have seen, really, we would have seen the after effects of Revenge of the Sith, and we would have seen the Jedi kind of on the run, and we kind of saw that a little bit in Rebels with Kanan. So I feel like some of these ideas maybe got parsed out a little bit, but largely they just kind of got jettisoned by Disney. Par for the course. They really crapped on Lucas's legacy. Cory Barlog, it's a really cool last name, creative director of Sony's God of War series, recalled visiting Lucasfilm and being allowed to read scripts for the series. In an interview with GamesBeat, he said they made the Emperor a sympathetic figure. And I'm going to be honest, guys, this is where they kind of lose me here. So who's wronged by his heartless woman? Oh boy. She's this hardcore gangster, and she just totally destroyed him as a person. Whatever that means. I almost cried while reading this. This is the Emperor, the lightning out of his fingers Emperor. That's something magical. Others have pointed out that this approach leans into troubling tropes by shifting responsibility for a galactic fascist regime onto a female character. Regardless, Underworld remains one of the most ambitious projects Lucas ever attempted, and that same ambition ultimately proved to be its undoing. I don't know about that. I think really what happened is that George had a plan, and he was getting old, and he had a family, and he wanted to focus on that, and he had to choose between, wife and the kids, pursuing passion project. Ultimately, I think it definitely isn't a conversation about money. I mean, Lucas could have literally handed a ham sandwich to any studio and been like, turn this into thing, and they would have done it. It's George Lucas we're talking about. I mean, he's royalty in Hollywood. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit further into this. On an appearance on Katie Sackhoff's show, The Sackhoff Show, Ron Moore explained that Lucas planned to develop the series entirely on his own dime. And George's mind, once I've produced it, I'm going to take it to the network and say, take it or leave it. I love that about the original movies. Take it or leave it, guys. The prequel movies that followed the original trilogy were good. That's what I grew up on. A lot of people hated it for George's overuse of like CGI and his over-reliance on that to kind of fill in the gaps. The storytelling was just ridiculously good. I mean, the casting was amazing. Everything about the sequel trilogy, I loved it. I loved the music. I loved the lightsaber fights. They were incredibly high energy. They were incredibly articulate and very well planned out. I mean, just go watch Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor just duking it out. And I mean, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but those stunt sabers, those are carbon fiber rods. Those things have got real weight to them. And I mean, you get smacked by one of those things, it ain't fun at all. And I mean, they put their heart and soul into everything they did when they were filming those. And you just got to give it to George. He knew exactly what he wanted. He knew exactly how he wanted it done, and he really wasn't interested in your opinion about how it should be done. And take it or leave it. I mean, obviously, I love it. This strategy worked for the animated series, The Clone Wars, but the reality of producing a live-action series on a feature film scale quickly became apparent, and/or reportedly cost Disney $650 million. See, this is where they lose me with it, because that's a Disney problem. Disney, in typical Disney fashion, overspends and underdelivers. Lucas proved this concept could work with the Young Indiana Jones series, which I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. It is a masterpiece of storytelling. Completely expounds upon the original Indiana Jones films. I own them all on VHS because I'm a nerd, and I love them. They're so good. They traveled the world. They found actors in the locations that they were in. So if they were in Africa, they had African actors. If they were in Spain, they had Spanish actors, so on and so forth. With only a couple of recurring casting characters like Sean Patrick Flannery, and I can't remember the name of Remy Couture's actor, but a lot of returning Star Wars characters were in that show as well, like Ian McDiarmid. Anyway, I digress. Ultimately, Lucas decided that creating more Star Wars came second to his family. See, again, leading him to sell the entire franchise to Disney in 2012 for $4 billion. The sale killed any possibility of Underworld seeing the light of day. Disney sucks. What can I say? They strip-mined it, turned it into Andor after they said we have no source material and we have nothing to go on, in Kathleen Kennedy's own words. One of the greatest disappointments of our lives. I'm with McCollum on this one. It would have been amazing. Lucas, on the other hand, has acknowledged that things don't always work out the way you want them to. Man, I feel bad for the man. They really just, they pushed him out in a really horrible way. He really had a plan. He really knew what he wanted. He thought they were going to honor that legacy, and they did him dirty. Is what it is. Based on how ideas from the series later surfaced across the Disney canon from Rogue One and Andor. Again, in my opinion, there's like 3 properties that came out of Disney Star Wars that really shine as being incredible. The Mandalorian, Andor, and Rogue One. All extremely well done. Really don't have anything negative to say about it at all. And also, again, in Rebels, maybe a little less so in Rebels, some things, but not quite as much. Really, I mean, it's just so sad because, like, growing up, again, reading, like, all of the Expanded Universe books that I read, like, it's very clear that, like, George didn't hate any of the Expanded Universe material. He just didn't consider it part of, like, the canon of the films. But he let it exist, and he also allowed for the rules to exist where they married together the comic books and novels together with his films to make a really as much of a cohesive whole as you could. I mean, for it coming from so many different minds together to create what Star Wars became right before Disney bought it out. But I mean, all in all, this article kind of just proves kind of what we coulda, shoulda, woulda. Had Kathleen Kennedy not decided to, reinvent Star Wars in her own image, but we're seeing things change. So how much will they change in the coming year? That remains to be seen. We still have Starfighter and the Mandalorian Grogu movie coming out, which not really excited for either of those films, to be perfectly honest with you, for reasons on both of them. Although I will say, if this TV Line article is to be believed, we could see a lot more of this, like, underworld crime syndicates starting to really come out in new Disney Star Wars with the new Maul series that just got announced, which that looked dope. I gotta say it, like, man, they're knocking it out of the park with the animated series, and that Maul, that Maul television show just looks so good, so good. Yeah, I'm really excited for that. Genuinely, I'm excited for it, and we may see some of these more Black Sun, the Pikes Syndicate, things like that get fleshed out in The Mandalorian and Grogu, which I hope that it's not more like, adventures with the, forever baby character that is just kind of a MacGuffin at this point. I really hope they kind of get into more of the nitty-gritty and move more into the Star Wars for adults as opposed to Star Wars for kids, which never really understood that argument, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know why it can't apply to both audiences simultaneously, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. I think this article just kind of is kind of a bittersweet revelation, but it is what it is. Maybe we'll see things change. Who knows? Anyway, may the Force be with you guys, and I will catch you on the next one. Later.